Hello, friend. Welcome to Science for Sleep. This time of year often arrives softly, without making a formal entrance. The calendar turns, the days shorten. Decorations appear in familiar places. Music returns to stores and streets. The season does not rush in all at once, but it settles gradually, like a temperature change that is noticed only after it has already happened. For many adults, there is a quiet recognition that Christmas feels different now than it once did. The feeling is subtle. Not always sadness, not always nostalgia. More often, it is a sense of distance, as if the season is being observed from slightly farther away than before. The lights are still there. The traditions still exist. But the internal experience has shifted. The lights still glow. Traditions still repeat. Gatherings still happen. And yet, something feels quieter inside. A good way to put it is that everything just feels normal. Tonight, we'll be examining the psychology behind this phenomena and why this experience is so widespread. There is often a moment of recognition when this difference becomes noticeable. It may arrive while walking past decorated windows, or hearing a familiar song, or noticing how quickly the day seems to move along. The season appears fully formed, without asking for attention, and the awareness follows softly behind it. Why does that happen? Why does something that once felt expansive now feel contained? Why does the season seem to pass more quickly? Why does it feel less vivid, even when nothing obvious has been taken away? These questions tend to surface without urgency. They are not usually spoken out loud. They rest quietly beneath the surface, shaping the mood rather than demanding answers. Part of the feeling may come from familiarity itself. When something returns year after year, does it ask less of the mind? Does recognition soften the edges of experience? Does predictability change how deeply something is felt? And part of it may come from time. Not the time on clocks or calendars, but the way time is experienced internally. The way certain periods once seemed to stretch, while now they appear to compress. The way memories of past holidays feel larger than the days themselves ever were. There is also the quiet presence of responsibility. Planning, coordinating, keeping track of what comes next. Even when these tasks are not heavy, they exist in the background, shaping how attention moves through the season. The body continues forward while the season unfolds around it. None of this feels dramatic. It feels subtle, almost easy to miss. The world still looks festive. Streets still glow in the evening. Homes still fill with familiar scents. Cold air still carries sound differently. The environment offers the same signals it always has. But the way those signals land seems to have shifted. Is that shift happening in the world, or somewhere quieter? Is it the season that has changed, or the way the adult mind now meets repetition, memory, and expectation? If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe, and if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. The quiet continues here, just as it is. These questions do not need immediate answers. They are not problems to solve. They are observations, gently held. The kind that unfold slowly, over time. When the noise of the day recedes, Christmas still arrives. It still marks the year. It still carries meaning. But the way it is felt may be shaped by things that are not immediately visible. And understanding those changes does not require effort. It only requires time. I'm glad you're here. Christmas continues to arrive in recognizable ways, and the body moves through it smoothly, almost automatically. Nothing feels wrong. Nothing feels urgent. And that ease can feel unfamiliar when compared to earlier memories. Familiarity has a way of changing how attention behaves. When something is known well, it no longer asks to be watched closely. The nervous system learns patterns and begins to conserve energy. This is not a conscious choice. It happens gradually, beneath awareness, as repetition builds a sense of predictability. In early experiences, attention is easily captured. New sights, sounds, and routines stand out against the background of ordinary days. They interrupt. They pull focus. They slow time by filling it with detail. But as experiences repeat, the brain becomes efficient. It recognizes what is coming next and adjusts accordingly. Christmas, when it returns year after year, becomes part of that learned pattern. The decorations no longer surprise the eyes. The music does not interrupt the flow of the day. Even the shift in routine arrives on schedule, expected and already accounted for. The season still exists, but it does not require heightened alertness. Neuroscience research shows that familiar stimuli produce less activation in attention-related brain regions than novel ones. This process, often referred to as habituation, allows the brain to focus resources elsewhere. When something is predictable, it is no longer treated as information that must be analyzed deeply. It becomes background. This background quality does not remove meaning. It changes intensity. The world still offers the same signals. Lights reflect off windows. Cold air sharpens sound. Familiar scents appear briefly and then fade. These sensory inputs register, but they do not linger. The mind acknowledges them and moves on, confident that nothing new needs to be learned from them. This efficiency creates a feeling of normalcy. The season blends into daily life instead of standing apart from it. There is less contrast between ordinary days and holiday days. The boundary softens. As children, holidays often arrived as disruptions. School schedules paused. Adult responsibilities were held elsewhere. Time opened up. The environment shifted noticeably. These changes pulled attention outward, toward the season itself. The body remained alert, scanning for novelty and anticipation. In adulthood, the environment rarely suspends itself completely. Responsibilities remain present, even if they are lighter or different. Planning exists alongside celebration. Awareness continues alongside rest. The nervous system maintains a steady rhythm rather than entering a heightened state. This steadiness is often interpreted emotionally as dullness or loss, but biologically it reflects regulation. A regulated nervous system does not amplify familiar stimuli. It smooths them. It lowers the volume on what no longer signals change or uncertainty. Attention narrows, not because something has become less important, but because it has become safe. Psychological studies on attention show that the brain prioritizes difference. What stands out is what requires response. What blends in is what can be trusted. Over time, repeated seasonal cues lose their sharp edges. They no longer require interpretation. They are simply present. This presence can feel quiet. The season no longer announces itself with intensity because the body already knows how to move through it. There is no need to orient, no need to prepare. The pattern is familiar. The path is known. Memory plays a subtle role here as well. The brain does not store repeated experiences with equal detail each time. Instead, it compresses them. The first few experiences of an event are rich with sensory detail. Later repetitions are summarized. The essence remains, but the vividness fades. This does not erase past experiences, it reorganizes them. Christmas memories from earlier life often feel brighter, not because they were objectively more intense, but because they were stored when the brain was still building its internal map of the world. Each holiday added new information, new associations, new emotional markers. Now, the map is largely complete. The season arrives and fits neatly into existing structures. The days pass without needing to be carefully recorded. Attention glides rather than settles. The body remains calm, steady, and prepared. There is comfort in this, even when it is not immediately recognized as such. The lack of intensity can be mistaken for absence, but absence would feel empty. This feels full but quiet. The environment is doing what it has done before. The body responds efficiently. The mind remains steady. This is why the season can feel as though it passes quickly. Not because time is moving faster, but because fewer details require attention. When fewer moments are individually marked, the whole period feels smoother, less segmented. The days do not stretch, they flow. Nothing has gone missing. The system has adapted. Christmas continues to exist in the same physical world. The lights still turn on at dusk. The air still carries the same signals. The calendar still shifts in the same way. But the adult nervous system meets these signals with familiarity rather than alertness. And familiarity, by its nature, is gentle. It does not pull. It does not demand. It does not linger. It allows the season to arrive, settle, and pass without friction, leaving behind a sense of continuity rather than interruption. There is a difference between remembering something and reliving it. Memory often holds onto outlines rather than full detail, keeping what stood out most and allowing the rest to blur. When thinking back on earlier Christmases, what tends to surface first is not the duration of the days, but their intensity. The way the season seemed to rise up and fill the space around it. In those earlier years, the season did not blend into ordinary time. It interrupted it. Novelty has a distinct effect on how experience is formed. When something is new, the brain treats it as information that matters. Attention widens. Sensory detail sharpens. Small changes stand out because they are not yet predictable. The world feels slightly brighter, not because it has changed, but because more of it is being registered at once. When Christmas arrived under those conditions, it arrived loudly, even if the environment itself was quiet. The first decorations noticed, the first song recognized, the first change in routine felt clearly marked. Each of these moments carried weight because they were not expected. They required orientation. The nervous system responds differently to novelty than it does to familiarity. New experiences increase alertness. They create a mild state of readiness, not stress, but engagement. This engagement slows perceived time. More information is processed. More moments feel distinct. In that state, days seem longer. Not because clocks move differently, but because the experience of the day contains more individual markers. Each moment leaves a trace. As years pass, novelty fades not all at once, but gradually. What was once new becomes known. What once required attention becomes recognized immediately. The brain no longer needs to ask what this is or what comes next. The answer is already stored. Christmas, once a sequence of discoveries, becomes a sequence of confirmations. The lights appear and the eyes know them. The music begins and the sound is already anticipated. Even changes in routine are preloaded, accounted for before they arrive. The body prepares in advance, smoothing the transition. This change does not occur because curiosity disappears. It occurs because learning has taken place. Neuroscientific research shows that the brain's reward and attention systems are most active when outcomes are uncertain. When a stimulus is predictable, those systems respond less strongly. This does not remove enjoyment. It reduces intensity. The peak becomes a plateau. In earlier experiences, Christmas contained many unknowns. The shape of the day, the order of events, the surprises embedded within routine. Each uncertainty created space for heightened attention. Each resolution reinforced memory. Now, much of that uncertainty has resolved itself. The season unfolds along a familiar path. There are fewer questions to answer, fewer moments that require active interpretation. The body moves through known territory. This can feel like a loss when measured against memory. But memory does not preserve the full context. It preserves contrast. Earlier holidays stand out in memory because they occurred against a backdrop of otherwise ordinary days. They were rare interruptions. Now, adulthood contains fewer true interruptions. Most experiences are integrated into ongoing structures. The novelty that once belonged to the season has shifted elsewhere, often into quieter places. Work changes, life transitions, internal growth. These forms of novelty do not announce themselves with lights or music. They are processed internally over time. As a result, the season no longer carries the full burden of stimulation. There is also a shift in scale. When life contains fewer reference points, each event occupies more space. As reference points multiply, individual events take up less relative room. This is a simple effect of accumulation. Christmas once stood out because there was less surrounding it. Now, it exists within a dense landscape of experiences. It is not isolated. It is contextualized. The visual world still offers contrast. Darker evenings, brighter windows, familiar colors appearing in familiar places. But contrast is relative. Against a life already rich with pattern, the contrast softens. The body responds accordingly. Psychological studies of perception suggest that attention is drawn not to what is familiar, but to what violates expectation. When expectation is met, the response is calm. When it is exceeded or disrupted, the response sharpens. Christmas, as an adult, rarely violates expectation. This predictability allows the season to feel stable, reliable, contained. It no longer expands outward. It settles inward. That inward settling can be misread. The quietness can be interpreted as a lack of feeling. But quietness is not emptiness. It is simply a lower amplitude experience. The difference between intensity and depth is subtle. Intensity draws attention. Depth sustains it. Early experiences were intense. Later ones are deeper, even if that depth is harder to detect. The nervous system does not register depth in the same way it registers novelty. Depth unfolds slowly. It does not spike. It does not demand notice. It remains present beneath the surface. This is why the season can feel simultaneously meaningful and unremarkable. The meaning has not disappeared. It has integrated. As novelty fades, what remains is continuity. The season becomes part of the ongoing rhythm of the year, rather than a break from it. The days do not stop. They carry the season with them. This shift is neither accidental nor avoidable. It reflects how the adult mind organizes experience once learning has stabilized. Once patterns are understood, attention is free to rest. The season no longer needs to announce itself. It is already known. And what is known well often arrives quietly, asking nothing more than space to be present before passing on, unchanged by how loudly it was noticed. As the season continues to move forward, the sense of difference often becomes easier to name, even if it remains difficult to explain. It does not arrive as a sharp emotion. It does not announce itself as disappointment or loss. Instead, it feels like a smoothing of edges, a flattening of peaks, a sense that nothing in particular is missing, and yet nothing stands out quite the way it once did. This is often where interpretation quietly enters. When something feels less intense, the adult mind may instinctively label it as diminished. Less vivid can be mistaken for less meaningful. Quiet can be confused with empty. But biologically and psychologically, these states are not the same. Absence feels hollow. It draws attention to itself. It creates friction, a sense that something should be there and is not. What many adults experience during Christmas does not feel like that. It feels complete, but subdued, present, but unremarkable. The days still unfold. The environment still responds. The body still moves through familiar rhythms without resistance. This distinction matters. Stability is often invisible. It does not pull focus because it does not require correction. Systems that are functioning smoothly rarely announce themselves. The nervous system behaves the same way. When it senses predictability and safety, it reduces output. It lowers reactivity. It conserves energy. This is not disengagement. It is efficiency. The adult nervous system is shaped by years of repetition. Patterns have been learned. Seasonal changes no longer signal uncertainty. The arrival of Christmas does not disrupt the sense of what comes next. It fits neatly into an existing framework. Because of this, the body does not elevate attention or emotional response. It does not need to. In earlier years, heightened feeling often came from heightened vigilance. New experiences required monitoring. Novel environments demanded orientation. Each unfamiliar detail asked to be interpreted and stored. The body remained lightly alert, scanning for information. Now, the same signals pass through systems that already understand them. The lights, the sounds, the altered routines all register, but they do not escalate. The system remains calm. This calmness can be misread as emotional distance, but emotional distance implies withdrawal. What is happening instead is regulation. Regulation does not announce itself with excitement. It announces itself through steadiness. Psychological research on emotional processing shows that once experiences become predictable, the emotional response becomes less pronounced. The amplitude decreases, but the baseline remains intact. Feeling does not disappear. It smooths. This smoothing is often what adulthood feels like in general. Life becomes less punctuated by dramatic shifts and more defined by continuity. The season reflects that broader pattern. Christmas, in this context, is no longer a separate emotional event. It is integrated into the year rather than standing apart from it. The days do not change direction. They continue forward with the season folded inside them. This integration can feel unfamiliar when compared to memory. Memory often highlights moments of contrast rather than moments of stability. Earlier holidays are remembered because they felt different from ordinary time. They were marked. They stood out. What stands out is what breaks pattern. When Christmas no longer breaks pattern, it can feel as though it has faded. But fading implies disappearance. What is actually happening is blending. The season blends into life rather than interrupting it. This blending supports a sense of safety. Predictable cycles allow the nervous system to remain settled. There is no need to heighten alertness, no need to prepare for disruption. The body stays oriented. In this state, emotions tend to be quieter, not absent, but less reactive. Joy becomes subtle. Comfort becomes steady. Meaning becomes background rather than foreground. These forms of experience are harder to recognize because they do not draw attention. They do not spike. They do not announce arrival. They simply remain. The adult mind often expects meaning to arrive with intensity. This expectation is shaped by earlier experiences when intensity and meaning were closely linked. But meaning does not require intensity to exist. Meaning can be steady. The presence of responsibility contributes to this steadiness. Planning, coordination, and awareness of others' needs create a continuous cognitive layer. Even when these tasks are light, they anchor attention to the present flow of time. The season unfolds alongside this awareness, rather than replacing it. This does not diminish the season. It contextualizes it. The environment continues to offer familiar cues. Decorations still appear. Light still changes. Sound still shifts. But these cues now operate within an already active system rather than creating one. The adult nervous system does not reset itself for the season. It adjusts. Adjustment feels quieter than reset. This is why the season may feel as though it passes without leaving strong impressions. The impressions are there, but they are not isolated. They are woven into ongoing experience. Stability rarely feels special while it is happening. It is recognized only in contrast to instability. When systems function well, they fade into the background of awareness. The feeling that Christmas has become normal is not a failure of feeling. It is a sign that the season has become safe expected, and integrated. The body no longer needs to prepare for it. The mind no longer needs to brace or orient. Nothing has been taken away. Something has settled. The season remains, steady and intact, moving forward at the same pace as everything else, held within a system that knows how to carry it without effort. As the season continues to move forward, the sense of steadiness becomes more noticeable than any particular emotion. The days arrive and pass in a familiar order. Light changes at the same times it did the year before. Sounds return in recognizable patterns. Even the rhythm of gatherings follows an expected shape. The environment behaves as anticipated, and the body responds accordingly. Predictability has a quiet effect on the nervous system. When surroundings follow known patterns, vigilance naturally lowers. The system does not need to scan for change or prepare for uncertainty. It recognizes the cycle and settles into it. This response is automatic, shaped by repeated exposure rather than conscious thought. In childhood, seasonal shifts often signal disruption. Routines paused, schedules loosened, attention widened. The nervous system responded by heightening awareness because change was expected and information needed to be gathered. The season stood apart from ordinary time, and the body treated it as such. In adulthood, the same seasonal signals rarely require monitoring. Decorations appear on schedule. Time off, if it happens, is planned in advance. Social rhythms adjust without surprise. The system recognizes these patterns and reduces its alert state. There is no need to stay watchful when nothing unexpected is likely to occur. Neuroscientific research shows that predictable environments reduce activity in brain regions associated with threat detection and attentional vigilance. When outcomes are known, the brain shifts resources away from monitoring and toward maintenance. This shift supports calm, steady functioning. Christmas, in this context, becomes a predictable cycle rather than an event that demands orientation. The arrival of familiar cues no longer triggers heightened attention. Instead, they confirm what is already understood. The system acknowledges them briefly and then returns to baseline. This baseline is not flat or empty. It is regulated. Regulation does not feel dramatic. It feels smooth. The body maintains balance without drawing attention to the process. Heart rate, muscle tension, and breathing patterns remain stable. Emotional responses stay within a narrow range. The season moves through the system without creating spikes. This is why the holiday can feel quieter. Not because it lacks meaning, but because it no longer activates alertness. Holiday signals once functioned as alerts. They marked change. They required adjustment. Now they function as confirmations. They signal continuity. The nervous system does not need to reorganize itself in response. The visual environment reflects this change. Lights are noticed, but they do not pull focus. Movement increases slightly, but it does not feel chaotic. The world looks festive without feeling demanding. The eyes move through familiar scenes without pausing. Auditory cues behave the same way. Music enters awareness briefly and then blends into the background. Voices overlap in expected ways. Sound no longer signals novelty or urgency. It becomes texture rather than message. This reduction in vigilance allows the body to settle rather than heighten. Settling is not withdrawal. It is an adaptive response to safety. When the environment is stable, the system chooses efficiency over alertness. Psychological studies of arousal show that humans operate best when arousal matches environmental demands. In predictable contexts, lower arousal conserves energy and supports sustained functioning. High arousal in safe environments would be wasteful. The adult nervous system has learned that the season is safe. This learning occurs slowly, over many repetitions. Each year that passes without disruption reinforces the pattern. The system becomes increasingly confident in what the season brings. As confidence increases, vigilance decreases. This is not something that can be reversed by intention. It is embedded in how the system functions. The body responds to patterns, not wishes. As a result, emotional responses during the season tend to be muted. Joy does not spike sharply. Anticipation does not rise dramatically. Even stress, when present, is often contained within familiar boundaries. Everything stays within expected limits. This containment can be mistaken for disengagement, but disengagement would involve detachment or avoidance. What is happening instead is steady participation without heightened arousal. The season is no longer something the body prepares for. It is something the body moves through. This shift is especially noticeable when compared to memory. Earlier experiences are remembered as brighter and more intense, which creates an expectation that intensity should still be present. When it is not, the absence is noticed. But intensity is not the default state of a regulated system. Regulation favors smoothness over peaks. The adult nervous system prioritizes continuity. It values predictable cycles because they allow attention to remain distributed rather than concentrated. The system can support daily life while the season unfolds alongside it. This is why the holiday no longer pauses the body's rhythm. It flows within it. Even moments of gathering and celebration tend to follow familiar scripts. The order of events is known. The roles people play are established. The body does not need to interpret social signals from scratch. It recognizes the pattern and responds automatically. Automatic responses require less energy. Less energy expenditure feels calmer. Calmness, in turn, can feel emotionally flat when measured against heightened states. But flatness is not emptiness. It is stability. The nervous system does not register stability as excitement. It registers it as safety. Safety allows the system to remain open without being alert. It allows attention to soften without disappearing. This softened attention is what many adults experience during Christmas. The season is present, but it does not command focus. It exists within the background of daily life, rather than standing apart from it. The body remains settled. The mind remains steady. The environment continues its familiar cycle. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs to be monitored. The season arrives, confirms what is already known, and moves through the system without friction. As the season continues to move forward within familiar rhythms, another quiet change often becomes noticeable. The days seem to pass more quickly than expected. The season arrives, unfolds, and moves on before there is a clear sense of having been inside it for very long. This feeling does not usually come with surprise. It is recognized afterward, once the season is already well underway. Time itself, has not changed. The number of hours in a day remains the same. The calendar advances at its usual pace. What changes is how time is experienced internally. The adult mind does not measure time by clocks alone. It measures time by events, variation, and attention. Periods filled with distinct moments tend to feel longer, while periods that move smoothly feel compressed. This difference is subtle and often unnoticed while it is happening. In earlier experiences, the season was filled with markers. Each day contained moments that stood apart from the rest. New sights, new sounds, new interruptions to routine. These moments created separation within time. Each one acted as a boundary, dividing the season into noticeable segments. As novelty fades, those boundaries soften. The adult nervous system recognizes the season as a continuous pattern, rather than a sequence of distinct events. The days no longer need to be divided carefully. They connect easily to one another. Time flows without interruption. Psychological research on time perception suggests that the brain estimates duration based on the amount of information processed. When more information is taken in, time feels expanded. When less information is processed, time feels compressed. This estimation happens automatically without conscious tracking. Christmas, as an adult, often involves fewer informational demands. The environment is already understood. The sequence of events is known. Attention does not need to linger on details. The brain processes the season efficiently. Efficiency shortens subjective time. This does not mean the season is rushed. It means it fits. The days are absorbed into existing routines rather than standing apart from them. Workdays remain workdays. Evenings arrive on schedule. Responsibilities continue alongside celebration. The season does not require a full reorganization of time. In childhood, holidays often expanded time by removing structure. Days opened up, schedules loosened. The absence of routine created space for attention to wander. Without strict boundaries, time felt abundant. In adulthood, structure remains present. Even when routines change slightly, they do so within known limits. The body continues to orient around responsibilities, expectations, and planning. This structure provides continuity, but it also reduces the feeling of temporal expansion. The season no longer stretches, it settles. Memory plays an important role here as well. When recalling earlier holidays, the mind tends to remember moments of intensity rather than long stretches of ordinary time. These remembered moments create the impression that the season lasted longer than it actually did. In reality, the days were likely similar in length. What changed was how densely they were filled with attention-grabbing events. Now, the density is lower. Lower density allows time to pass smoothly. The season moves without friction, and smooth movement is often experienced as speed. When nothing interrupts the flow, there is little to slow perception down. This effect is especially noticeable toward the end of the season. There is often a moment of realization that time has passed quickly. The decorations are already familiar. The calendar has already advanced. The feeling arrives gently, without urgency. Why did it go by so fast? The answer is not that something was missing. It is that less needed to be processed. The adult mind does not pause to catalogue each moment. It does not store each day as a separate entry. Instead, it groups experiences together, creating a single, continuous memory of the season. This grouping reduces perceived duration. The season becomes one smooth block of time rather than a series of individual days. When remembered later, it occupies less mental space. It feels shorter because it is less segmented. This segmentation effect is a well-documented aspect of memory and perception. Experiences with clear boundaries feel longer than those without them. Boundaries create memory anchors. Without them, time blends. Christmas, when it becomes predictable, loses some of its boundaries. The start is anticipated. The middle flows. The end arrives without sharp contrast. The season does not announce its transitions loudly. It fades in and out gently. This gentle fading is often mistaken for loss. But loss would feel abrupt. This feels gradual. The season fits neatly into the year rather than standing apart from it. It becomes one part of a continuous cycle rather than a pause in time. The adult nervous system favors this continuity. Smooth time supports regulation. Abrupt changes require adjustment. Adjustment requires energy. When energy is conserved, experience becomes quieter. Quiet experience passes quickly. This is not a failure of attention. It is an expression of efficiency. The system has learned how to move through the season without effort. It no longer needs to slow down to understand what is happening. The body remains oriented. The mind remains steady. Time flows without resistance. And when time flows without resistance, it rarely announces its passage. It simply moves forward, carrying the season with it, leaving behind a sense that everything happened as expected, even if it feels as though it happened all at once. As the season continues to settle into familiar rhythms, memory begins to quietly shape how it is experienced. Not in the moment, but in comparison. The adult mind does not encounter Christmas in isolation. It encounters it alongside remembered versions of the same season, held from earlier years. These memories do not behave like recordings. They are not faithful replays of entire days. Memory is selective. It preserves what stood out, what carried emotional weight, and what marked change. The rest is softened, blurred, or allowed to fade entirely. This process is often referred to as emotional editing. The brain retains intensity more readily than duration. Moments of heightened feeling are stored with greater clarity, while long stretches of ordinary experience compress into the background. Earlier Christmases often exist in memory as a collection of bright fragments. A particular moment, a specific feeling, a sense of anticipation or wonder. These fragments feel large because they were emotionally distinct, not because they occupied more time. When the adult mind looks back, it is comparing the present season to these preserved peaks, rather than to the full reality of past days. The comparison happens automatically, without intention. Psychological research on memory formation shows that emotionally intense experiences are encoded more strongly than neutral ones. The brain prioritizes what feels important at the time. Over years, this creates a memory landscape dominated by highlights rather than continuity. As a result, earlier holidays appear fuller and longer in hindsight. The gaps between memorable moments disappear. The season becomes a single glowing impression rather than a sequence of days. In the present, the opposite is happening. The adult experience contains fewer emotional peaks, not because emotion is absent, but because it is regulated. Familiarity reduces surprise. Predictability lowers arousal. The nervous system remains steady. Steady experiences are still meaningful, but they are encoded differently. They do not leave sharp markers in memory. Instead, they blend together. This blending creates the impression that the season lacks substance. But what is lacking is not experience. It is contrast. Memory relies on contrast to create separation. Without contrast, moments merge. When moments merge, they feel shorter and less vivid when recalled. This effect is not unique to holidays. It appears in many areas of adult life. Weeks pass quickly. Years seem to accelerate. The same process is at work. Familiar routines generate fewer memory anchors. Christmas, when it becomes part of routine, is subject to the same compression. The adult mind may notice this compression after the fact. There is often a sense that the season has already passed, even while it is still present. The realization arrives gently, without alarm. How did it go by so fast? This question is less about time than about memory structure. The season did not lack days, it lacked peaks. Earlier experiences contained natural peaks because everything was new. Each detail carried weight. Each change felt significant. The emotional system was more reactive, and that reactivity created stronger memory traces. Now, reactivity is lower. Lower reactivity supports stability. It allows the body to remain calm, but it also changes how experience is recorded. Without spikes, memory smooths. The adult mind often interprets this smoothing as emotional dullness. But dullness implies disengagement. What is happening instead is continuity. Continuity does not announce itself. It does not leave sharp edges in memory. It remains present without insisting on attention. When the season is remembered later, it appears as a single block of time rather than a sequence of events. The details fade quickly. The impression remains general. This general impression is then compared to the vivid fragments of earlier memory. The comparison feels uneven. One side appears brighter, the other appears muted. But the comparison is incomplete. The earlier memories are not full representations. They are edited highlights. The quieter moments from those years have already faded. What remains is intensity without context. The present experience, by contrast, is still whole. It has not yet been edited by time. It contains both quiet moments and meaningful ones, even if they do not stand out. Over time, this experience will also be edited. Certain moments will remain, others will fade. The season will eventually be remembered as more compact than it felt while it was happening. This is how memory works. The adult mind does not lose the ability to feel. It loses the illusion that every moment must be intense to matter. Memory preserves what rises above baseline. Baseline itself is rarely remembered. Christmas, when experienced at baseline, still holds meaning. It simply does not demand attention in the same way. The feeling that past holidays were larger is created not by loss in the present, but by editing in the past. Memory has already shaped what is being compared. Understanding this does not change how the season feels in the moment. It changes how the feeling is interpreted. The quietness no longer signals absence. It signals stability. The season remains intact, moving through the present without peaks, knowing that time will later soften and shape it as it always has. Leaving behind what stood out and letting the rest settle into continuity. Alongside familiarity, time compression, and memory smoothing, there is another quiet presence shaping how the season is felt. It does not arrive loudly. It does not feel like pressure or urgency. It exists beneath awareness, steady and constant, influencing how moments land without demanding attention. This presence is responsibility. Responsibility in adulthood rarely announces itself as strain. More often, it exists as background awareness, a low, continuous cognitive layer that remains active even during rest. Plans are held lightly. Schedules are remembered without effort. Considerations about others move gently through awareness. Nothing feels overwhelming, yet nothing fully turns off. This background presence changes how experiences are processed. When responsibility is present, attention is shared. It does not narrow tightly onto the season itself. It remains distributed across multiple threads. The body stays oriented toward what comes next, even while participating in what is happening now. This distribution is subtle. It does not feel like distraction. It feels like continuity. In earlier experiences, responsibility was often carried elsewhere. Decisions were made by others. Time was structured externally. The body could move through the season without needing to track outcomes or maintain awareness of future tasks. Attention could settle fully into the present moment. Now, even during moments of gathering or rest, the background layer remains. Coordination, timing, and awareness of roles sit quietly alongside experience. The season unfolds within this framework rather than replacing it. Cognitive psychology describes this as ongoing load, not stress, but sustained mental presence. The brain maintains an active model of what needs to be remembered, anticipated, or adjusted. This model runs continuously, even when demands are low. The presence of this model affects emotional tone. When attention is shared, intensity decreases. Emotional peaks require full engagement. When engagement is distributed, experiences feel smoother, less sharp. The edges soften. This softening does not diminish meaning. It changes texture. The adult mind rarely enters a fully unburdened state. Even in calm moments, there is an awareness of time, sequence, and responsibility. This awareness anchors experience to the broader flow of life. Christmas, under these conditions, does not suspend the background layer. It unfolds within it. The body remains oriented. The system does not release fully into novelty or uncertainty. It maintains balance. This balance supports regulation, but it also limits intensity. Moments that might once have felt expansive now feel contained. Not because they are smaller, but because they are held within a wider context. The season occupies a place rather than becoming the entire field of experience. Responsibility also shapes anticipation. Anticipation once carried uncertainty. The unknown created space for heightened feeling. Now, anticipation is often resolved in advance. Outcomes are predicted. Schedules are known. The future is partially mapped. This mapping reduces emotional volatility. It allows the nervous system to remain steady. The season becomes predictable, not just in pattern, but in consequence. Predictable consequences reduce emotional swing. The presence of others' needs further reinforces this steadiness. Awareness expands beyond the self. Consideration flows outward. Timing, coordination, and care occupy mental space. This outward orientation grounds experience. Grounded experience rarely spikes. The body remains present, but not heightened. The mind remains engaged, but not absorbed. This state can be difficult to recognize because it feels neutral. It does not register as excitement or disappointment. It simply exists. The adult experience of the season often takes place in this neutral ground. Neither high nor low. Comfortable, steady, contained. This neutrality can be mistaken for absence. But absence would feel hollow. Neutrality feels complete. Responsibility does not remove joy. It reshapes it. Joy becomes quieter, less dramatic, more distributed. It appears in brief moments rather than sustained states. These moments may be easy to miss while they are happening. They do not demand attention. They do not interrupt the flow of the day. They arise and pass without altering the system's overall balance. Because of this, the season may feel less memorable in real time. The background layer absorbs much of the experience. Attention does not pause to mark moments as distinct. Later, when the season is recalled, fewer peaks remain. The memory feels compressed. The impression is that something passed quickly and quietly. But during the experience itself, nothing was lacking. The system functioned smoothly. The body remained regulated. The mind remained oriented. This is the natural outcome of sustained responsibility. It does not crowd out experience. It contextualizes it. The season is held alongside everything else, rather than replacing everything else. It becomes part of life rather than an interruption to it. This integration supports stability. Stability allows the nervous system to conserve energy. Energy conservation feels calm. Calm does not announce itself. It does not insist on being remembered. It allows moments to come and go without resistance. The adult experience of Christmas often lives in this space. Not dramatic, not empty, simply held within the ongoing flow of awareness. Responsibility remains present, not as weight, but as structure. A structure that allows the season to pass smoothly, without sharp turns or sudden shifts. The season does not need to be carried. It carries itself, moving through a system that already knows how to hold many things at once, without strain, without urgency, and without the need to stand apart. There is a point at which the season no longer arrives as a pause. It does not stop the year or set itself apart from what surrounds it. Instead, it moves through life in the same direction as everything else, carried along by the same current. This shift is subtle. It does not announce itself. It is often only noticed in hindsight, when the season has already settled into place. The days continue. The calendar advances. The rhythm of life remains intact. Christmas, rather than interrupting time, begins to flow within it. Earlier in life, the season often created a clear boundary. Normal routines loosened, attention turned outward. The year seemed to bend around the holiday, creating space for it to exist on its own. The interruption itself created contrast, and contrast made the season feel distinct. As an adult, that interruption softens. Life no longer reorganizes itself fully around the season. Work continues. Responsibilities remain present. Even moments of rest exist within a larger structure that does not disappear. The season arrives, but it does not displace what was already there. This integration changes how the season is felt. When something interrupts life, it demands attention. It creates a before and an after. When something integrates, it blends. It becomes part of the ongoing pattern rather than a break from it. Christmas, once disruptive, becomes continuous. The nervous system responds differently to continuity than to interruption. Interruption requires adjustment. Adjustment heightens awareness. Continuity allows the system to remain steady. The body does not need to reset itself to accommodate the season. It simply incorporates it. This incorporation feels calm. Calmness is often misinterpreted as disengagement, but disengagement would involve distance or avoidance. What is happening instead is participation without heightened arousal. The season is present, but it does not dominate. The adult mind moves through Christmas the same way it moves through other meaningful parts of life, with familiarity, with steadiness, with an awareness that nothing needs to stop for this moment to exist. The season no longer pauses the year because the year no longer needs to pause. This does not make the season less real. It makes it more embedded. It becomes one thread woven into the larger fabric of time rather than a separate piece laid on top. Embedded experiences are quieter. They do not stand out sharply. They are felt as part of continuity rather than as isolated events. This is why the season may feel less distinct, not because it has faded, but because it has merged. Merging reduces contrast. Without contrast, attention does not spike. Without spikes, memory does not form sharp edges. The experience remains smooth. Smooth experiences rarely feel dramatic. They feel stable. Stability is not something the nervous system highlights. It is something it rests in. When Christmas becomes stable, it stops calling for attention. It does not need to be monitored. It does not need to be prepared for. It arrives, exists, and passes within an already functioning system. The adult experience of the season often reflects this. There is no clear moment when Christmas begins, and no sharp moment when it ends. Decorations appear gradually. Routines shift slightly. Time moves forward without interruption. The season becomes a layer rather than a landmark. This layering is neutral. It is not a sign of failure or loss. It reflects how the adult system organizes experience once patterns are understood and safety is established. Life does not stop for the season because it no longer needs to. The meaning of Christmas does not disappear in this process. It changes form. It becomes less concentrated and more distributed. Less intense but more consistent. Consistency does not announce itself. It does not ask to be noticed. It remains present without insisting on being remembered. The feeling that the season once felt bigger comes from contrast. The feeling that it now feels smaller comes from integration. Neither feeling is wrong. They reflect different stages of perception. The season has not shrunk. It has settled. It fits within life rather than standing apart from it. And when something fits, it does not interrupt. It flows. It moves alongside everything else, carried by the same steady rhythm, existing fully, without needing to stop the world in order to be felt. Sound has a unique way of shaping experience. It moves through space without asking permission, reaching the body even when attention is elsewhere. Music, in particular, carries emotional weight quickly. It can shift mood, signal memory, and mark time with only a few notes. In earlier years, holiday music often arrived with impact. The first familiar song of the season stood out clearly. It announced that something had changed. The sound felt like an arrival rather than a continuation. That sense of arrival depended on surprise. Surprise activates attention. When a sound is unexpected, the auditory system responds strongly. The brain orients toward it, evaluating meaning and relevance. Emotion rises easily in these moments because attention has already been captured. Over time, surprise fades. Holiday music follows predictable patterns. The same songs return each year, often in the same order, in the same places. The auditory system learns these patterns quickly. Once learned, the brain no longer treats the sound as new information. Anticipation replaces novelty. The body knows what comes next. Even before the song begins, the system recognizes the context. Stores, streets, and homes provide cues that signal what kind of sound will follow. When the music starts, it confirms expectation rather than creating it. Confirmation does not require attention. As a result, songs pass through awareness rather than settling into it. They are heard, but they do not linger. The auditory system acknowledges them and then releases them, confident that nothing new needs to be learned. This passing through quality can feel like emotional distance, but it is not indifference. It is efficiency. Neuroscientific studies of auditory processing show that repeated exposure to the same sounds reduces neural response over time. The brain conserves energy by limiting reaction to familiar stimuli. This process allows attention to remain available for change rather than repetition. Holiday music, when repeated year after year, becomes part of the background soundscape. It no longer demands focus. It becomes texture. Texture does not interrupt experience. It accompanies it. In childhood, music often stood out because it marked a change in the environment. Normal sound patterns shifted. Familiar routines were altered. The auditory system responded by heightening awareness. Now those shifts are already known. The sound does not signal disruption. It signals continuity. The adult mind does not need to orient to the music. It recognizes it immediately. The emotional response is brief and contained. This containment does not remove meaning. It changes how meaning is expressed. Emotion becomes quieter, less reactive, more stable. Holiday songs may still carry associations. A memory may surface briefly. A feeling may appear and pass. But the system does not stay there. It does not linger in the sound. Lingering requires novelty. Without novelty, the sound moves on. The structure of holiday music also contributes to this effect. Many songs follow similar melodies, rhythms, and themes. Repetition within the music itself reinforces predictability. The brain quickly recognizes the pattern and settles. When patterns are recognized, attention relaxes. This relaxation supports calm. Calm does not heighten emotional response. It smooths it. The adult experience of holiday music often reflects this smoothing. Songs are present, but they do not dominate. They accompany tasks rather than interrupting them. They exist alongside other sounds rather than standing apart. The music becomes part of the environment rather than the focus of it. This shift can feel unfamiliar when compared to memory. Earlier experiences may be remembered as more emotionally charged, but memory often preserves moments of surprise rather than moments of familiarity. The first time a song created a feeling is remembered. The many times it played quietly afterward are not. The adult experience contains many of those quiet moments. They do not stand out, but they are still present. The absence of surprise does not mean the absence of feeling. It means the feeling does not escalate. Holiday music still moves through the system. It still reaches the body. It simply does not demand attention in the same way. This is why songs may seem to pass through rather than linger. The auditory system recognizes them as safe, known, and expected. There is no need to hold on to them. The season continues, carried by familiar sounds that no longer announce themselves, but instead move gently through awareness, leaving behind a sense of continuity rather than intensity. Some of the most powerful seasonal signals arrive quietly, without sound or spectacle. A change in temperature, a familiar scent carried briefly through the air, the subtle shift in how the environment feels against the body. These signals often register before they are consciously noticed. Smell, in particular, has a direct pathway to memory and emotion. It does not pass through the same filtering systems as other senses. It arrives quickly, often producing a feeling before a thought has time to form. A scent can mark a season instantly. In earlier experiences, these signals often felt vivid. The first cold air of winter, a familiar smell appearing after months of absence. These moments stood out because they were rare and distinct. The body noticed them because they marked a clear change. Over time, these signals become expected. The adult sensory system learns their timing. It anticipates when the air will change, when certain scents will appear, when the environment will shift in familiar ways. When anticipation is present, response is brief. The signal registers and then it settles. This settling is another form of adaptation. Sensory systems are designed to notice change, not consistency. When a stimulus appears repeatedly and reliably, the nervous system responds less strongly. The information has already been learned. Cold air still touches the skin. It still sharpens sound and alters movement. But the body no longer needs to interpret what it means. It confirms what is already known. The same is true of scent. Seasonal smells still appear. They still register, but they do not linger. The moment passes quickly because the system has already stored its significance. The scent does not require attention to be held. This brief registration can feel fleeting. The experience appears and disappears almost immediately. The adult mind may notice the absence of lingering feeling and interpret it as loss. But nothing has been lost. The signal did its job. It informed the system, and the system moved on. In childhood, these signals often carried more weight because they were less frequent and less predictable. Each appearance felt like an event. The body responded with heightened attention, allowing the experience to expand. Now the body knows what follows these signals. The arrival of cold air does not signal uncertainty. It signals continuity. The season is unfolding as expected. Expectation reduces emotional amplitude. The adult nervous system does not amplify what it already understands. It acknowledges and releases. This is why seasonal sensory cues still work, but only briefly. They reach awareness, confirm familiarity, and then fade into the background. The system does not need to hold on to them. Holding onto sensation requires novelty or uncertainty. Without those elements, sensation passes through smoothly. The environment continues to offer cues. The air changes texture. Light behaves differently. Smell appears and disappears. These cues remain effective, but their effect is subtle. Subtlety can be difficult to notice because it does not demand attention. The experience is complete even if it is brief. The adult mind often expects sensory moments to linger in order to feel meaningful. When they do not, the absence of lingering is noticed rather than the presence of the moment itself. But meaning does not depend on duration. A signal can be brief and still accurate. It can arrive, confirm, and pass without needing to be extended. This efficiency supports regulation. The body does not need to stay alert to familiar sensory changes. It recognizes them and returns to baseline. Baseline experience feels neutral. Neutrality is often mistaken for emptiness, but it is not. It is simply a state where nothing requires immediate response. The seasonal environment now exists within that baseline. Smells appear as confirmations rather than surprises. Cold air signals arrival rather than disruption. Sensory cues mark time without expanding it. This marking is quiet. It does not pause the day. It does not pull attention away from what is already happening. It integrates smoothly. In earlier years, these cues often created pauses. The body stopped briefly to notice. Attention shifted. Time slowed. Those pauses are remembered because they stood out. Now the pauses are shorter. Sometimes they barely exist. The system registers the cue and continues forward. This forward movement is not rushed. It is smooth. The adult sensory system is not less sensitive. It is more selective. It responds proportionally to relevance. When relevance is low, response is light. Seasonal cues no longer carry high relevance because they no longer predict change or uncertainty. They predict what is already unfolding. The body already knows them. Knowing does not diminish experience. It changes how experience is held. Instead of being grasped, it is allowed to pass. The season continues to offer its signals, quietly and consistently. The system receives them, confirms familiarity, and returns to rest. Nothing is missed. Nothing is held too tightly. The signals arrive, do their work, and fade gently back into the background, leaving the season intact, steady, and fully present in its quiet form. There is a quiet story that often sits beneath the season, shaping expectation without being spoken. It suggests that Christmas should feel consistently special, that the atmosphere should remain elevated, that a certain feeling should be present from beginning to end uninterrupted. This story is learned early. It appears in cultural images, repeated scenes, and shared language. The season is described as magical, as though magic were a stable state rather than a fleeting one. The idea settles in gently and remains there, influencing how experience is measured later on. But biology does not sustain constant peaks. The nervous system is not designed to hold heightened emotional states for long periods of time. Excitement, wonder, and anticipation are transient by nature. They rise, crest, and resolve. When they do not resolve, they become unsustainable. In earlier years, the season contained enough novelty to produce repeated emotional peaks. Each new signal created a brief rise. Each rise felt like magic because it was short-lived and unexpected. The memory of these peaks accumulates and forms the impression of a continuously elevated experience. In reality, those peaks were always separated by ordinary moments. The adult mind often compares the present season not to the full reality of the past, but to a curated memory shaped by intensity. The expectation of constant magic comes from this comparison. When the present does not match that imagined continuity, something feels off. But nothing has gone wrong. Biologically, sustained intensity would signal threat rather than joy. The nervous system treats prolonged arousal as something that requires resolution. Calm, not excitement, is the state associated with safety. As adulthood brings increased regulation, the system naturally favors states that can be maintained. Emotional responses become more measured. Peaks become rarer. Baseline becomes dominant. This shift is often misinterpreted as loss. The story of constant magic leaves little room for biology. It assumes that feelings should remain elevated regardless of context, repetition, or familiarity. It does not account for adaptation, regulation, or efficiency. But the body adapts regardless of story. When expectations remain fixed on intensity, the present experience can feel inadequate. The season is measured against an unrealistic standard. Subtlety is mistaken for absence. Calm is mistaken for dullness. This mismatch creates quiet disappointment, even when nothing is actually missing. The myth of constant magic relies on the idea that meaning and intensity are inseparable, that something matters only if it feels powerful in the moment. But meaning does not require continuous emotional elevation. Meaning can exist quietly. Rituals, repetition, and familiarity carry meaning precisely because they persist without needing to escalate. They provide structure rather than spectacle. They remain even when excitement fades. The adult experience of the season reflects this truth. The moments that matter most often do not announce themselves. They are woven into ordinary time. They do not demand attention. They exist without pressure. Cultural stories rarely highlight these moments because they are difficult to dramatize. Calm does not translate easily into narrative. Stability does not create contrast. But lived experience is not a story arc. It is a continuum. The adult mind gradually learns this, even when expectation lags behind understanding. The season continues to arrive, but it does not perform. It does not sustain a feeling on command. It unfolds as life unfolds. When expectation releases its grip on constant intensity, something softens. The season no longer needs to live up to an image. It no longer needs to feel a certain way. It is allowed to be what it is in each moment. This allowance reduces friction. Disappointment often comes not from what is present, but from what was expected to be present. When expectation relaxes, experience becomes easier to inhabit. The nervous system responds to this relaxation by settling further. Emotional tone evens out. The season becomes quieter, but also more stable. This stability does not erase meaning. It reveals it differently. Meaning becomes cumulative rather than momentary. It is carried by continuity rather than peaks. It exists in repetition, familiarity, and presence. The myth of constant magic dissolves not because magic disappears, but because magic was never meant to be constant. It was always intermittent, appearing in brief moments and then receding. Those moments still exist. They are simply not sustained. The adult experience allows them to come and go without chasing them. The system does not attempt to hold on to feeling. It lets it pass naturally. This passing can feel like loss when expectation remains fixed on intensity. But when expectation adjusts, the passing feels appropriate. The season does not need to perform in order to matter. It does not need to sparkle continuously to be real. It arrives. It unfolds. It settles. And within that settling, meaning remains, quiet and intact, no longer measured by how high emotion rises, but by how comfortably it fits into the life that carries it. As the season continues to move gently forward, another shift often becomes noticeable. The feeling that once arrived as excitement now arrives as comfort. The body no longer responds with heightened anticipation. Instead, it settles into familiarity with ease. This change can be subtle enough to miss. Excitement is loud by nature. It pulls attention upward and outward. Comfort, by contrast, moves inward. It lowers volume. It does not announce itself as an event. Comfort rarely feels dramatic. In earlier years, the season often activated excitement because so much of it was unknown. Excitement is the body's response to uncertainty, paired with positive expectation. It prepares the system for change. It raises arousal just enough to support engagement. As novelty fades and patterns stabilize, excitement becomes unnecessary. The system no longer needs to prepare for the unknown. What remains is comfort. Comfort signals safety. When the environment is familiar and predictable, the nervous system shifts into a regulated state. Muscle tension lowers. Breathing steadies. Attention relaxes. The body no longer leans forward into what might happen next. It rests into what is already happening. This resting state feels very different from excitement. Excitement sharpens perception. Comfort smooths it. Excitement narrows focus onto the source of anticipation. Comfort allows awareness to widen without effort. Because comfort does not create peaks, it is often misinterpreted as flatness. The adult mind may search for the familiar surge of feeling and notice its absence. When nothing rises to meet that expectation, the experience can feel muted. But muted is not empty. Comfort is not meant to elevate. It is meant to sustain. The nervous system cannot remain excited for long periods without cost. Prolonged excitement requires energy. It keeps the system slightly elevated, prepared for action. Over time, this state becomes inefficient. Comfort allows the system to remain open without being activated. It supports long-term stability. The body does not need to recover from comfort. It simply exists within it. This is why comfort feels quieter than excitement. Christmas, when experienced through comfort rather than excitement, does not pull attention away from life. It does not ask for preparation. It does not create anticipation that needs to be resolved. It arrives and settles in place. The season becomes something the body can lean into rather than brace for. This leaning in quality can feel unfamiliar when compared to memory. Earlier experiences may have involved waiting, wondering, and heightened awareness. Those states created emotional contrast. They made the season feel larger. Comfort creates continuity. Continuity does not stand out. It does not mark itself as special. It simply remains. The adult nervous system values this continuity. It recognizes comfort as a sign that nothing needs to be adjusted. The system remains balanced. Balanced states rarely draw attention. They are felt indirectly through the absence of strain. The season, when held in comfort, may feel as though it passes quietly. There is no build-up, no release, no peak moment that defines the experience. Instead, there is a steady presence. This steadiness can be mistaken for dullness, but dullness implies lack of engagement. Comfort does not remove engagement. It removes urgency. Urgency and excitement are closely linked. Both involve preparation for change. Comfort removes the need for that preparation. The adult mind often expects meaningful experiences to arrive with urgency or intensity. When they do not, meaning can feel harder to locate. But meaning does not require urgency to exist. Meaning can be held calmly. Comfort allows meaning to be distributed across time rather than concentrated in moments. It does not demand that anything stand out. It allows experience to unfold evenly. This evenness is biologically appropriate. A regulated system favors states that can be maintained. Comfort can last without depleting resources. Excitement cannot. As adulthood progresses, the nervous system increasingly selects for what can be sustained. This selection is not conscious. It reflects adaptation. The season adapts along with the system. Christmas becomes something that fits rather than something that interrupts. It does not need to elevate the body's state. It confirms stability. This confirmation feels gentle. Gentleness can feel unfamiliar in a culture that equates intensity with value. When excitement fades, it can feel as though something essential has been lost. But what has faded is the need for heightened response, not the experience itself. The season remains present. It is simply experienced through a different lens. Comfort replaces excitement, not because the season matters less, but because the system no longer needs to be activated to receive it. The body knows what it is encountering. The environment is safe. The outcome is known. In this state, the season does not need to perform. It does not need to impress. It exists. The adult mind may notice that comfort does not leave sharp memories. It does not produce standout moments, but it does create a sense of ease that carries forward. This ease is difficult to remember because it does not contrast sharply with anything. It blends into life. But while it is present, it supports well-being. The season, when experienced as comfort, becomes a place the body can rest rather than a moment it must rise to meet. This restfulness is not emptiness. It is functional calm. Functional calm does not sparkle. It does not demand attention. It allows the system to remain whole. And in that wholeness, the season continues quietly, fully, and without the need to feel exciting in order to be complete. As the season continues to settle into its familiar shape, a deeper shift becomes visible beneath the surface of experience. The dominant signal carried by Christmas in adulthood is no longer novelty or anticipation. It is safety. Safety is quiet. It does not rise sharply or demand attention. It does not announce itself as a feeling in the way excitement does. Instead, it shapes the entire internal landscape by reducing the need for emotional peaks. The nervous system responds differently to safe environments than it does to uncertain ones. When safety is present, the system does not amplify experience. It does not scan for threat or prepare for rapid change. It lowers volume across the board. This lowering is not emotional dulling. It is regulation. A regulated nervous system is designed to minimize unnecessary activation. When nothing needs to be solved, avoided, or anticipated urgently, the system maintains a steady baseline. Emotional responses remain within narrow bounds. Extremes are unnecessary. Christmas, as an adult, increasingly arrives in this regulated state. The season is no longer treated as a variable. It does not introduce uncertainty that must be managed. The body knows what to expect. The environment behaves predictably. Social structures are familiar. Even disruptions follow known patterns. Because of this, the nervous system does not escalate. In earlier years, heightened emotion often accompanied heightened uncertainty. New experiences, unknown outcomes, and shifting routines required the system to stay alert. Emotional peaks were part of how the body processed change. Now, change is minimal. Safety allows the system to remain calm without withdrawing. Attention stays open, but relaxed. Emotional tone evens out. The experience does not spike because there is no reason for it to. This calmness can feel confusing when compared to memory. Earlier Christmases may be remembered as emotionally vivid, leading to the expectation that strong feeling should still be present. When it is not, the difference is noticed. But the absence of peaks does not indicate the absence of meaning. Safety reduces emotional peaks because peaks are inefficient in stable environments. Heightened emotion is metabolically costly. It requires energy, focus, and recovery. A regulated system avoids this cost when possible. The adult nervous system has learned that Christmas does not require heightened response. It is not a situation that needs to be solved or navigated carefully. It is a known quantity. Known quantities do not trigger amplification. The season lands softly because it lands in safety. This safety is supported by familiarity. Familiar environments signal low threat. Familiar people signal predictability. Familiar routines signal continuity. Together, these signals tell the nervous system that nothing extraordinary is required. When nothing extraordinary is required, the system remains at baseline. Baseline experience is often misunderstood. It is sometimes labeled as neutral or flat. But baseline is where the system functions most efficiently. It supports sustained presence without fatigue. In this state, emotions are present but measured. Joy may appear briefly and then settle. Contentment may remain without drawing attention. Comfort becomes the dominant tone. Comfort does not spike. Because safety reduces emotional amplitude, experiences can feel less memorable in the moment. Memory tends to preserve what deviates from baseline. What stays close to baseline blends into continuity. This blending can create the impression that the season is passing unnoticed. But unnoticed does not mean unfelt. It means unamplified. The adult mind often equates feeling with intensity. When intensity is absent, feeling can seem diminished. But feeling exists on a spectrum. Safety occupies the quieter end of that spectrum. Quiet feeling is still feeling. Christmas, when experienced as safe, does not require the body to rise to meet it. It does not require vigilance or emotional preparation. It arrives and is received without resistance. This reception is smooth. The smoothness of safe experience can feel anticlimactic. There is no build-up, no release. The season does not crest. It flows. Flow is the natural state of regulated systems. When there is nothing to interrupt flow, it continues uninterrupted. The adult nervous system prefers this state. It allows life to proceed without strain. It allows multiple experiences to coexist without conflict. Christmas becomes one of those experiences. The season does not demand to be the center of attention. It does not require emotional elevation to justify its presence. It exists comfortably within the broader rhythm of life. This is not because the season matters less. It is because the system no longer needs to mark it as exceptional in order to understand it. Exceptional experiences require heightened response. Familiar experiences do not. The transition from excitement to safety reflects learning, not loss. The body has learned that Christmas is stable. It has learned that nothing needs to be defended against or anticipated urgently. Safety allows the nervous system to remain open without being activated. This openness supports connection without intensity, meaning without spectacle, and presence without urgency. The season lands where it now belongs, not above life, not apart from it, within it. Christmas in adulthood is received by a system that knows it is safe, and safety, by its nature, does not amplify. It steadies. The season arrives, rests within that steadiness, and moves on gently, carried by a nervous system that no longer needs to raise its voice in order to listen. As the season continues within a state of safety, meaning remains present even as intensity fades. This can feel counterintuitive. Many early experiences teach that meaning arrives alongside strong emotion, that something matters most when it feels powerful, vivid, or unmistakable. But meaning does not depend on heightened emotion to exist. Emotion is a signal. It rises when attention needs to be drawn to something new, uncertain, or important for learning. Once learning has occurred, the signal no longer needs to be loud. Meaning can remain even when the signal quiets. In adulthood, the nervous system relies less on intensity to mark what matters. Instead, meaning becomes distributed across repetition, familiarity, and continuity. It is carried quietly rather than announced. Ritual plays an important role here. Ritual does not require novelty. Its power comes from repetition. The same actions performed in the same order, year after year, create structure. Structure provides orientation. Orientation supports stability. None of this requires emotional escalation. A ritual can hold meaning even when it feels ordinary. Earlier in life, ritual often felt special because it was paired with uncertainty and anticipation. The outcome was not fully known. The sequence still felt new. That newness amplified emotion. Now, the sequence is known. The outcome is expected. The ritual unfolds without surprise. The absence of surprise does not remove meaning. It removes intensity. Meaning settles. The adult mind often searches for the feeling it associates with meaning and notices when that feeling is absent. When emotion does not rise, the experience can feel thinner than expected. But this thinness is not emptiness. It is quiet presence. Presence does not require thrill. Presence involves being there without scanning for what should happen next. It involves occupying the moment as it is rather than waiting for it to change. This form of presence is subtle. It does not produce peaks. It produces steadiness. Steadiness is difficult to measure emotionally because it does not contrast with anything. It exists at baseline. But baseline is where most of life happens. Christmas, when experienced at baseline, still holds meaning. It is woven into daily life rather than standing apart from it. The season does not ask for emotional elevation to justify itself. It simply exists. Meaning in this form accumulates rather than spikes. It builds quietly over time. It is held in continuity rather than momentary intensity. The adult nervous system recognizes this form of meaning intuitively, even if expectation lags behind. The body does not search for emotional peaks. It remains present without demand. This presence can feel unspectacular, but it is stable. Cultural images often emphasize spectacle because spectacle translates easily into story. Bright emotion is visible. Quiet meaning is not. As a result, expectation becomes skewed toward what can be dramatized. Lived experience does not follow that pattern. Much of what matters most in adulthood is not dramatic. It is consistent. It returns. It remains. The season reflects this truth. Christmas does not need to feel intense to be meaningful. It does not need to recreate earlier emotional states to justify its presence. Those states belong to a different stage of learning. Now, meaning is carried differently. It is carried in familiarity, in the absence of urgency, in the ability to move through the season without strain, in the comfort of knowing what comes next. This form of meaning may not leave sharp memories. It may not feel remarkable while it is happening, but it supports a sense of continuity that extends beyond the season itself. Meaning without heightened emotion does not announce itself. It settles quietly into the background of life, shaping experience without demanding attention. The adult mind does not lose meaning when intensity fades. It gains stability. And stability allows meaning to remain present without needing to rise above everything else in order to be felt. As the season continues to unfold without urgency, belonging begins to take on a quieter form. It no longer announces itself through heightened emotion or constant reassurance. It exists steadily without asking to be noticed. Quiet belonging does not demand attention. It does not require scanning the environment for signs of acceptance or connection. The nervous system already knows where it is. The people are familiar. The spaces are known. There is no need to orient. In earlier experiences, belonging often carried uncertainty. New environments, shifting roles, and changing relationships required interpretation. Attention remained outward, searching for cues. This vigilance created emotional intensity. Now, much of that vigilance has dissolved. Familiar people do not require explanation. Repeated spaces do not require adjustment. The body recognizes where it is and who is present. Safety is assumed rather than tested. This assumption allows the system to remain settled. Belonging, in this form, is not dramatic. It does not spike. It does not create a rush of feeling. It rests quietly beneath awareness, shaping experience without dominating it. This restfulness can feel understated when compared to memory. Earlier feelings of belonging may be remembered as more powerful because they were paired with uncertainty. Resolution felt intense because something had been at stake. Now, nothing is at stake. The absence of risk removes emotional charge. The system does not need to react strongly when belonging is secure. It simply exists. This security is deeply regulating. It allows attention to soften. It allows presence without performance. The body does not need to prove anything. The mind does not need to anticipate rejection or adjustment. Christmas, within this context, becomes a space of quiet belonging. The season unfolds among people and places that are already integrated into life. There is no need for heightened awareness. The environment is known. Known environments invite rest. Rest does not announce itself. It does not leave sharp impressions. It blends into continuity. The experience feels smooth rather than vivid. This smoothness is often misread as emotional flatness. But flatness implies disengagement. Quiet belonging is not disengagement. It is comfort. Comfort allows the system to remain open without being alert. It allows connection without intensity. It allows the season to exist without demanding proof of meaning. Belonging that does not demand attention can be difficult to recognize because it does not contrast with anything. It is felt indirectly through ease rather than emotion. The adult experience of Christmas often lives here, not in moments of heightened connection, but in the absence of strain, in the ability to move through familiar spaces without effort, in the presence of others without self-consciousness. This form of belonging does not need to be dramatic to be real. It does not need to be intense to matter. It remains quietly present, supporting the season without calling attention to itself, allowing Christmas to unfold within a sense of security that no longer needs to be tested. As the season continues, it becomes clear that Christmas no longer stands apart from the year. It does not interrupt the flow of time or carve out a separate emotional space. Instead, it moves alongside everything else, carried forward by the same steady rhythm. This shift is quiet. There is no clear beginning and no sharp ending. The season arrives gradually, settles in, and then fades without drawing attention to the transition. Time does not break for it. It continues. In earlier experiences, Christmas often functioned as a marker that divided the year. There was a before and an after. The season paused ordinary life and replaced it with something distinct. That pause created contrast, and contrast made the experience feel large. Now, the pause is minimal or absent. Life does not stop to make room for the season. Responsibilities, routines, and awareness remain present. Christmas is woven into these structures rather than replacing them. It becomes part of the fabric rather than a separate piece laid on top. This weaving changes how the season is felt. When something interrupts time, it demands attention. When something flows with time, it blends. Blending reduces intensity, but increases continuity. The experience becomes smoother, less defined by edges. The adult mind recognizes this smoothness intuitively. The season no longer needs to announce itself as special. Its meaning does not depend on separation from the rest of the year. Christmas becomes a marker rather than a disruption. Markers do not stop movement. They orient it. They provide reference without requiring pause. The season marks time without breaking it. This marking is subtle. The days move forward as they always do. Light changes. Sound shifts slightly. Familiar cues appear and disappear. Nothing demands that time slow down or rearrange itself. The nervous system responds to this continuity by remaining regulated. There is no need for adjustment. The body stays oriented. Emotional tone remains even. This evenness can feel understated when compared to memory. Earlier experiences may be remembered as more distinct because they interrupted time. The present experience does not interrupt. It integrates. Integration rarely feels dramatic. But integration supports stability. It allows the season to exist without requiring effort. The body does not need to prepare for it or recover from it. It simply moves through it. The season becomes something that happens within life, rather than instead of it. This does not diminish Christmas. It places it accurately. The season is no longer responsible for carrying all meaning or emotion. It contributes quietly to an already full landscape. The adult experience of time favors this continuity. Smooth movement feels safe. Broken movement requires attention. The system prefers what does not need to be managed. Christmas, now part of that smooth movement, no longer pauses the year. It travels with it. And in traveling with it, the season remains present without insisting on being separate, allowing time to move forward without interruption, carrying meaning quietly within its steady flow. One final interpretation often arises: the sense that something has been lost, that Christmas no longer offers what it once did, that a certain feeling has faded beyond reach. This interpretation is understandable. It forms naturally when experience changes shape, but it is not accurate. Nothing has been taken away. What has changed is not the season itself, but the way the adult mind receives it. Earlier experiences were shaped by novelty, uncertainty, and heightened attention. Those conditions produced intensity. Intensity left strong impressions. Memory preserved those impressions and allowed the rest to fade. Now, the conditions are different. Familiarity has replaced novelty. Safety has replaced uncertainty. Regulation has replaced heightened arousal. The system no longer needs to amplify experience in order to process it. As a result, experience becomes quieter. Quiet is often mistaken for absence, but absence would feel hollow. This does not feel hollow. It feels complete, but settled. The season still arrives. It still unfolds. It still carries meaning. It simply does so without needing to rise above the rest of life to be felt. The adult nervous system has not lost its capacity for feeling. It has gained efficiency. It has learned what does not require escalation. It has learned how to hold experience without gripping it. This learning reshapes perception. The season no longer needs to interrupt life in order to matter. It no longer needs to feel intense in order to be real. It is integrated rather than elevated. Integration does not diminish experience. It stabilizes it. What once felt expansive now feels contained because it no longer needs to expand. It fits within a system that already knows how to carry it. The season has found its place. The idea of loss often comes from comparison. The present is measured against a remembered version of the past that has been edited by time and emotion. That comparison overlooks what has been gained. What has been gained is steadiness, ease, the ability to move through the season without strain, the ability to receive it without anticipation or disappointment. The adult mind has not lost wonder. It has lost the need for wonder to announce itself loudly. Nothing essential has disappeared. The experience has transformed. Christmas now arrives in a form that does not demand attention, does not require effort, and does not need to be held tightly. It comes, settles, and passes gently through a system that understands it. The season remains intact. It is simply being experienced by a system that no longer needs intensity in order to know that something matters, and that knowing, quiet and steady, is not a loss. It is a change in shape. By this point, the season no longer feels like something that needs to be examined. The earlier sense of difference has settled into familiarity, and the quiet observations that once hovered near the surface begin to lose their urgency. The questions remain, but they no longer press for answers. Why does it feel different now? Why does it pass more quickly? Why does it feel quieter than it once did? These questions do not disappear. They simply stop asking to be resolved immediately. They rest alongside the experience itself, without tension or expectation. Understanding has already begun to form, not as a conclusion, but as a gradual alignment. The adult mind does not need to solve every shift in feeling. Much of what shapes experience operates below conscious awareness, guided by familiarity, regulation, and time. Not everything needs to be traced back to a cause in order to make sense. When questions are allowed to rest, attention relaxes. The season does not need further interpretation to be complete. It is already unfolding as it should, shaped by a system that knows how to move through it with ease. The quietness no longer signals a problem to be addressed. It signals that nothing requires response. Resting questions create space. In that space, experience becomes easier to inhabit. The season no longer feels like something to evaluate or compare. It exists as it is, without needing to meet a remembered standard or recreate an earlier feeling. This release does not remove curiosity, it changes its tone. Curiosity becomes observational rather than searching. The mind notices without needing to adjust. Noticing without adjustment allows calm. Calm allows the system to remain open without being activated. The body continues forward. The days pass. The environment offers its familiar cues. Nothing needs to be grasped or held. The adult experience often finds comfort here, in allowing the season to be what it is now, rather than what it once was. In letting questions remain unanswered, not because they are unimportant, but because they no longer require resolution. Understanding has already done its work. The feeling that once seemed confusing begins to feel appropriate. The quietness fits. The smoothness makes sense. The season no longer asks to be interpreted. It simply continues. Letting the questions rest does not close anything off. It opens space for the remainder of the season to pass gently, without commentary or comparison. The mind remains steady. Attention softens. Time moves forward. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs to be found. The questions can remain where they are, quiet and untroubled, as the season carries on, unchanged by whether they are answered or not. The season continues without drawing attention to itself. There is no clear moment when it asserts its presence, and no moment when it announces that it is moving on. It exists gently in the background, woven into the ordinary movement of days. Decorations remain in place. Light shifts gradually. Familiar sounds continue to pass through rooms and streets. None of these elements ask to be noticed. They simply persist, steady and unchanged. This persistence is easy to overlook because it does not interrupt anything. Life moves forward as it always does, carrying the season along with it. Workdays arrive, evenings settle, sleep comes and goes. Christmas remains present without asking for space of its own. Earlier in life, the season often felt as though it stood apart. It arrived as a distinct period, held separately from everything else. That separation made it easier to notice when it began and when it ended. Now, the separation is softer. The season blends into the ongoing flow of time. It does not stop the year or divide it sharply. It travels within it, indistinguishable from the days that surround it, except for subtle cues that gently mark its presence. This blending creates a sense of quiet continuity. The nervous system does not need to adjust. It does not need to orient or prepare. Everything unfolds as expected. Because of this, the season can feel as though it passes without leaving strong impressions. The days do not stand out individually. They connect smoothly, one into the next. But smooth movement does not mean absence. The season is still there, supporting familiar rhythms. Meals happen, gatherings occur. Moments pass in ways that feel ordinary precisely because they are integrated. Nothing needs to rise above the rest to be real. The adult mind recognizes this quiet continuation instinctively. There is no urgency to hold on to the season or to mark it as special. It does not need to be preserved in memory while it is happening. The absence of urgency allows ease. Ease does not announce itself. It settles into the background, shaping experience without drawing focus. The season exists in this ease, present without demand. This presence can be difficult to describe because it lacks contrast. It does not stand apart from life. It does not interrupt the flow of attention. It remains alongside everything else. Christmas, in this form, does not ask to be felt intensely. It does not require emotional response to validate its presence. It continues quietly, doing what it has always done. The days carry it forward naturally. Time does not pause. Nothing needs to be captured. The season remains, steady and intact, unfolding without urgency, allowing life to continue around it without friction. And in that quiet continuation, the season completes itself without ever needing to announce that it was there. As the season continues in its quiet way, familiarity begins to feel less like repetition and more like a place to rest. What was once noticed as sameness softens into something supportive, something that allows the body to settle without effort. Familiar patterns no longer ask to be interpreted. They arrive already understood. The nervous system recognizes them immediately and relaxes its response. There is no need to stay alert when nothing unexpected is likely to happen. This recognition creates ease. Ease is not the absence of experience. It is the absence of strain. When the environment behaves as expected, the body releases unnecessary tension. Attention no longer needs to search or prepare. It can remain open and relaxed. The season provides many of these familiar cues. The way light falls in the evening, the arrangement of spaces, the sequence of ordinary days shaped gently by seasonal routines. Each cue confirms continuity. Confirmation allows rest. Rest does not require sleep or stillness. It can occur while moving through daily life. It is a state where the system does not need to brace itself or anticipate change. Familiarity supports this state by reducing uncertainty. In earlier experiences, novelty often prevented rest. Newness kept attention engaged and slightly elevated. While this created intensity, it also required energy. The system remained active, ready to respond. Now, familiarity allows the system to downshift. This downshifting can feel subtle. It does not announce itself as relief. It appears as smoothness, as the absence of resistance. The body moves through the season without friction. The adult mind often overlooks this ease because it does not contrast sharply with anything. It feels normal. But normalcy is where regulation lives. Familiarity creates a stable environment where nothing needs to be resolved. The season unfolds predictably, allowing the nervous system to remain settled. Emotional tone evens out. Attention softens. Soft attention does not mean disengagement. It means the system is free to rest while still being present. The environment does not require constant monitoring. This form of rest supports well-being. It allows experience to continue without fatigue. The season no longer needs to be managed or interpreted. It exists on its own. Christmas, experienced through familiarity, becomes a place the body can rest rather than a moment it must prepare for. The season does not demand response. It simply holds space. Holding space quietly is one of the ways familiarity provides comfort. The adult experience of the season often lives here, in the ability to move through familiar days without strain, in the knowledge that nothing needs to change, Familiarity, in this sense, is not dullness. It is permission to rest. And as the season continues, that permission remains, steady and available, allowing the body and the mind to remain at ease as time moves forward. As the season nears its later days, time continues to move in a way that feels smooth and unresisted. There are no sharp transitions, no moments that ask to be marked. One day follows another without interruption, and the movement itself feels gentle. This is time without friction. Friction appears when something resists motion, when change is abrupt, when adjustment is required. Earlier experiences of the season often created this resistance. Schedules shifted suddenly. Attention was pulled away from routine. The body had to recalibrate. Now, recalibration is minimal. The adult nervous system moves through the season without needing to slow down or speed up. The rhythm of life remains intact. The days do not press against one another. They connect naturally, forming a continuous flow. When time moves this way, it is rarely noticed while it is happening. Attention does not pause to register each moment because nothing interrupts the flow. The system does not need to mark boundaries or transitions. It remains oriented, steady, and balanced. This smooth movement can feel as though time is slipping by. But slipping implies loss. What is happening instead is continuity. Continuity allows time to pass without leaving marks. It does not carve experience into segments. It carries everything forward together. The season fits inside this movement easily. It does not need to create contrast to exist. It is held within the same forward motion as everything else. This is why the days can feel indistinct. Not because they are empty, but because they do not require separation. They belong together. The adult mind often recognizes this after the fact. There is a gentle awareness that time has passed without being measured. The realization arrives calmly, without urgency. Time did not rush. It flowed. Flow is the natural state of regulated systems. When nothing demands attention, movement continues without resistance. The body does not brace. The mind does not hurry. Everything remains aligned. In this state, there is no need to hold on to moments. Holding would create resistance. Instead, moments arrive and pass freely. The season continues in this way, carried by time that does not stop or surge. There is no need for it to do either. Time moves forward as it always has, but without friction, it feels softer. The edges blur. The movement is felt more as presence than progression. This softness supports rest. The system does not need to track the passage of days. It trusts the flow. Christmas within this flow does not announce its nearing end. It simply continues until it no longer needs to. The days remain intact. Nothing collapses. Nothing drops away. Time carries the season forward quietly, without pressure or resistance, allowing it to remain present for as long as it naturally does, before easing into whatever comes next, unchanged by whether it was closely observed or not. The season does not end with a clear signal. There is no single moment when it departs or closes itself off. It simply remains for as long as it needs to, and then, quietly, it is carried forward into memory. What lingers is not intensity, but continuity. Christmas leaves behind familiar impressions rather than sharp conclusions. The environment changes slowly. Decorations are removed. Light returns to its usual patterns. Sound softens back into ordinary rhythms. Nothing collapses or disappears all at once. The body notices these changes without urgency. The adult mind does not need to mark the ending. It does not need to gather the season or hold on to it tightly. Experience has already settled into place, integrated rather than isolated. What remains is a sense of steadiness. The season has passed through a system that understands it. It has been received without resistance, without expectation, and without the need to amplify feeling in order to justify meaning. It arrived, unfolded, and moved on in its own quiet way. Nothing has been lost in this movement. What remains is familiarity, safety, and the knowledge that experience does not need to be intense to be complete. The season has done what it always does. It has marked time gently, without interruption. The adult experience carries this forward naturally. There is no need to reflect further or draw conclusions. Understanding has already settled beneath awareness, shaping perception without demanding attention. The days continue. Life moves on. The nervous system remains regulated, steady, and at ease. Christmas remains what it has become now. Not louder, not smaller, simply integrated. It exists as part of the ongoing rhythm of time, remembered not for how brightly it flared, but for how smoothly it fit. The season does not ask to be revisited or reinterpreted. It rests where it belongs. And in that resting, there is nothing more required. The quiet continues. The rhythm holds. Time moves forward. The season remains exactly as it is now, complete without needing to announce itself, carried gently into whatever comes next.